So today's project is just going to be a simple pin and with some very basic beginning techniques. How to use a jump ring. I'm going to show you how to make an eye pin. Let's start simple. Snips, best tool in the world. My favorite pair of bent nose pliers. Chain nose pliers, nice round tips, and flat nose, handy for everything. With wire, the higher the number, the smaller the diameter of the wire. So 18 gauge is a nice sturdy for framework, and if you're using heavier stones and beads, and for instance, this, you can see the difference. This is a 24 gauge compared to the 18. So this is a finer wire. You could use it for wrapping, and with a lot of gemstones, not glass beads or ceramic beads, but the actual gemstone beads, they have a smaller hole. So do pearls. So you want to use like a 24 or 26 gauge wire to actually fit in the hole when you're working with gemstones and pearls. Start off simple eye pin. I generally kind of try to clean and straighten my wire a little bit before there's the royal we again, work on it. Now for an eye pin, has the loop at the top for connection. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. I'm going to start by making a 90-degree angle of the wire right there. We take our chain nose pliers, or the round ones, because we're going to make a nice loop here, and I hold it pretty much even and flush there, and I generally work away from me because it's easier to see, and then turn and we connect. I take either my flat nose or one with the flat surface, even it out so it's nice and even. Nice part about this is you can open it back up and hook your components on it. Now another way to do that, especially I'm just going to turn and work the other end here, is I'm going to fold that 90-degree angle a little further down, and I'm going to wrap around the main body of our pin here. So we've got our 90-degree, and I'm going to come all the way down to that angle, and I'm going to use my fingers to push that over and even it up. Do you see what we've done there? We've got an extra tail here. So I'm going to hold this with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to use, you can either use a set of pliers depending on how hard the wire is, or your hands, and we're going to go ahead and wrap this around this post. Like so. Now I've got a little tiny nib there. I'm going to cut that as flush as I can. If you point the back edge, this smooth edge of your clips, against your wire you're cutting, you'll have a flatter edge. If your edge gets too sharp in feeling, just quick little file any sharp edges off of there, okay? And those files are really inexpensive. You can actually even use a nail file or emery board. Now the wire I'm using, and I generally use, is half hard. And I'm just going to take my flat nose and finish crimping that down and finishing off the wrap there so it looks nice, neat. And this is one you can hook a jump ring to and connect chains and other briolettes. Now, a jump ring, when you get them, they'll either be partially open or they're closed, depending on when they're cut. You can make your own or pre-buying them is fairly simple. You can either use 2 pair of pliers or your fingers depending on the size. But I generally pull one away, one towards, like so. So we open it that way. Now if we're going to connect a component there, we slide it on, and if you have more than one, you slide them onto your jump ring, and then we put it back, and you can kind of hear it snap and click when it's lined up and closed. There you go. So there you go. There's a couple of first very basic. Let's get started. Now, for that measure, today I'm also going to show you a simple briolette wrap or bead wrap, especially when it has this cross top hole. I've got my 24 gauge. And this is just a silver plate, half hard wire. You could leave it on there, but I find it easier to work with a length and cut it off and trim it, and I use the extras elsewhere. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to go ahead and thread into our bead, and I'm going to bring my ends and give them a nice little simple pinch so it matches the shape of the top of the briolette. Briolette refers to the shape of the stone, this teardrop or round drop shape. This one's faceted. It's chalcedony. It's been dyed pink. It's such a pretty color. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my longer piece and I'm going to wrap it around this body here. There's twice. Now I'm going to show you, I kind of like making a wrapped ring here for the connector for the bail. So I'm going to wrap this up this post as close as I can, and you can scoot it down with your wire just very carefully, and you don't want to twist because it'll stress the wire. So you're one, and I kind of straighten every couple, 2, 3. Now see, I've got a little bit of a gap, so you can grab your pliers, slide it gently down, close your gap. I have found with this size wire, I kind of like doing 20 to 25 wraps. 5. Let me do that really quickly for you. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I pull and straighten so I'm not kinking the wire in any one place. We're going to tighten it down just a little bit. It's easier to do it a little along. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16, 17. One thing I'm doing is allowing the wire to kind of pull through my fingers. I'm not yanking this way. I'm just allowing it to... You'll find your tension. 21, 22. Okay. Tighten my coil down. 24, 25. Okay. Like the eye pin we just made, we're going to use that technique right here too. 90-degree angle. Do you see how I have a wee bit of tail here? I'm going to nip that down, but I'm going to leave just a tiny amount there, because that's going to be hidden in the wrap we do. Okay? So, snip that little bit there. We've got our 90-degree. We're going to, if I find, just like we did before, as even as we can here, and we are going to just wrap that right around, and there's our circle. Now we've got the wire, it's towards the back here, and I'm going to hold this close and bring that wrap around the entire thing 1, and I'm going to cover where the wire has gone into the bead. 2, 3, 4, 5, let's try, there's 6, let's do that. So 6. Now I'm going to cross over in the back. Let's do that again. I'm going to cross over and up in the back, and I'm going to wrap around that one more time, and then I'm going to leave it to cross over the front here. At that point, we're going to grab our snips, and I'm going to leave just a little bit of a tail. I'm going to cut it just a little longer here. And you can take your flat nose, your round nose, your bent nose, whichever one you have, whichever one is comfortable. Straighten that out a little bit, and I'm going to tuck that little tail into the inside. Now, I generally, on these, finesse a rounder form. There you go. Simple wrap with a coiled top. And what I'm going to do here is take this cute little charm. My daughter found these for me, and she likes them, which is awesome. And like we did before, opened up my jump ring. And we've got a pretty little key on here, and we are going to open that a little further so I can get that. There you go. Simple. And I found these cute little bow pins in a vintage store, actually. So somebody else must have been crafting before I was, obviously. And we're going to go ahead, just like we did before, till you hear that little snap and click. Close that up. And simple pin project. We've learned how to make eyes, how to do a wrapped one for chain link. In our next project, I will show you how to do a chain link project. Wrap a briolette with a coiled bail, and how to use our jump rings to attach components. I hope this was helpful for some of the beginning tips. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. That whole like, subscribe thing would be awesome. So, creative blessings, everyone. Have a grand and glorious, and I'll see you next time. Bye.